Aintree Racecourse, a magical corner of Liverpool. And on it stand 30 formidable obstacles which will be tackled Saturday afternoon by 40 intrepid horses and riders. There is nothing so great in sport. There is nothing more vital and more real than the Randox Health Grand National. And through the next hour, we are going to use technological wizardry to whet your appetite. Yes, this is the virtual Grand National 2018. Not just courage, but extraordinary stamina required to win a Grand National. And after the 30 fences, that long, demanding run-in. And then we will find out who will be the Grand National hero of 2018. And in the next hour, we wonder whether a computer can outwit those of us who occasionally like to pass ourselves off as racing experts. 35 miles away in Manchester, a team have been putting together not only state-of-the-art computer-generated imagery, but also complex algorithms by which they think they can predict the result of the world's most famous horse race. Not that easy when it is also considered to be one of the most unpredictable. So coming up, Red Rum is brought back to life to race over these fences once again and faces last year's winner One for Arthur, plus L'Escargot, Crisp and 36 legendary runners and riders. How did Cause of Causes win our first ever virtual Grand National last year, and what happened in the actual 2017 race? Plus, the most likely 40 runners and riders line up ahead of the official off for the 2018 Virtual Grand National. Can a computer get close to the outcome and show up the pundits and experts? Well, there is nothing virtual about my guest experts today. Legend of Aintree, Richard Pitman, 470 winners he rode, but most famous, dare I say it, for that defeat in 1973 on the Great Crisp. And Alice Plunkett, who has ridden round here as an amateur jockey, was a top-notch eventer and is now part of ITV's broadcast team. Richard, the magic of Aintree gets you every year, doesn't it? No matter how long it's been, you can still feel it.
Yeah, and being here, Nick, now, looking down that iconic row of fences there to Beeches Brook, and then looking at that awful long running, 494 yards, oh my God.
I bet you wished it was 490, didn't you?
Yes. Well, of course, they've altered the course. They've shortened it now since our old day, but, you know, that's gone. Let's go for... I'm looking to the future, Nick.
And this is going to be a real test this year, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
the weather we've had over the last few months is going to make this a proper test of guts and stamina.
The complexity of the race has changed now because the drop has gone at Beeches a lot. The fences are softer in places. It's more of a racehorses race. It's a classy race. There's less dross at the bottom these days.
There is no dross, and no dross here either, Plunk. It's the one time in the year, the Grand National, when all of us who work in the sport of horse racing get rung up by people we haven't spoken to for 20 years. Have you got a tip?
It's just extraordinary, isn't it? Everyone, like in the preschool, in the schools at home, in the yard at home, everyone is doing the sweepstake because it is the race that captures everyone's imagination. It's the race when we get 10 million viewers, you know, 10 times what we would get for a Gold Cup. It is quite extraordinary. And even if you're not watching, a friend of mine was travelling down last year and they said they pulled into a service station and there were 15 people around an iPad trying to watch it. And that just doesn't happen. Our sport comes to the front, and so it should, because it's a race to be celebrated, isn't it?
And everybody wants to go and have a bet on the Grand National. £160 million is bet in this race. When you were riding as an amateur, you got the privilege of riding around these fences. How did it compare to all your other sporting experiences?
Well, I can safely say that National and International Velvet ruined my life. I mean, those two movies, basically, my whole life was revolved around them. For me, one of the big things I remember was going out onto the course in the morning and giving my horse a leg stretch and cantering around out there with the Grand National horses. And honestly, it took my breath away. I know I'm a bit totes emotion at the best of times, but seriously, I was cantering around there just saying, I cannot believe I'm here. And to get the opportunity to have a spin around here was something that no one can ever take away. I was nothing like Richard. I was not any good, but I had that privilege. And I think I was 19 years old. I didn't really realise how lucky I was at the time. But I think what's exciting this year is we could genuinely have a female winner of the National. Three of the best female riders we've probably ever seen in the sport, and G. Armitage, I think, is a legend. But, you know, when we're looking at the likes of Katie Walsh, when we're looking at the likes of Bryony Frost, when we're looking, you know, we've got really, really a genuine chance. And when I went to the bookmakers, they only gave me 14-1 about a female jockey winning the National this year, and I think that is really exciting.
It's basically crazy odds, but they all do have a squeak of a chance, and their riding is so much better simply because they get more opportunities to ride. So therefore, you know, instead of a rider coming in here having had 20 rides in the year, now had 120, 200 rides, 300 rides. So therefore, you know, they're in the mix.
Absolutely.
Well, there are all sorts of ways that we can try and find the winner of the Grand National. And last year, I think, Richard, you and I, and Alice, I'm sure, were all a little bit cynical as to whether our friends at the animation company putting together this CGI could actually come up with a meaningful prediction for the Grand National via a virtual race. Well,
Came pretty close.
They came pretty close. They did us proud. Alistair Mann takes up the running.
The experts will tell you that picking the winner of the Grand National is virtually impossible. That was until last year, when it became a whole lot more achievable. Well, virtually. In 2017, virtual reality gaming experts Inspired were handed the task of trying to simulate the world's most famous steeplechase. Using all the latest technology and mathematical algorithms, they set about recreating last year's National before it had even been run. The ultimate challenge: could they actually predict the winner?
We knew One for Arthur was going to be strong, and when it came up and we felt that that would had a decent chance, and there was a number of horses there that we also had a decent chance. I think the fourth place horse was the favourite I think we had. But Cause of Cause is one of those, 20-1. We kind of always felt it had a chance, and when our software program kind of threw out that result, we thought, OK, let's have a go at this.
As the virtual race unfolded, the 20-1 shot Cause of Causes emerged as the front runner.
It's the early on route, but here's Cause of Causes beginning to stay on very strongly.
In the real Grand National, JP McManus's fancy was equally handily placed.
One for Arthur is out in front. Cause of Causes in second place for Jamie Codd. Black Lion.
And although the virtual race winner was eventually squeezed into second by One for Arthur at Aintree, the computerised version had astonishingly picked 6 of the first 10 finishers, including the newly crowned champion.
When it came to the elbow and I saw Cause of Causes in the position it was, and it looked like it was more or less where our virtual horses. It was really amazing to see it in that position and then to see it, and we were all obviously cheering it on, and we thought, gosh, if this thing wins this race, we're going to have people clamoring around our door to see how we did this thing. But obviously our algorithms played true. We had 6 out of the 10 in the top 10. Just you couldn't predict it really. You couldn't predict the way it went.
To make the virtual race mirror that of the real thing, drones were deployed to view each of the fences from a horse-eyes view. With that ingested, Inspired's team of graphic artists painstakingly viewed the physical actions of a horse as it gallops and jumps, before finally inputting a detailed weather forecast in order to recreate the exact going at Aintree.
So much time and work has gone into creating the virtual race. We look into how the horses move around Aintree Course, how they jump the fences. We look at the textures of the horse and jockey and to match them with their real-life counterparts. So to that level of detail and that level of work has gone into it.
I suppose we exceeded expectations. Yeah, we've spent getting on for 2 years developing it. I don't think we thought at the start quite what we were going to achieve, and now this year we've taken it that extra little step beyond that. Yeah, we've set ourselves up for a fall there, haven't we? It's very hard to beat that, but fingers crossed, who knows, this time we might be spot on.
So having been so close last year in their inaugural race, the computers' challenge now, of course, is to try and go just that one step further.
And of course, when the race itself took place, our eyes widened and widened and widened, because it looked as though the combination of the animators and the panel of experts had combined to produce something bang on the money. Cause of Causes so nearly, and Black Lion, if he hadn't gone to the front quite so soon, he might have won.
Yes, we thought we'd be lucky to get one in the first 10, and we got 6 of them, so it did work. But of course, the computers got brains. The actual animation was so real. I guarantee people would not have known it different from a proper horse race.
It was extraordinary, the animation. It really was beautiful. And also the sound was brilliant as well. That's what I was so impressed with, was the timing of the sound with the animation was amazing.
Not to mention our commentator, Stuart Machin, a full 9.5 minutes of brilliance, all himself, barely took a breath. It is the only time I've seen him perspire in his entire life, though. That is the only
Because
thing.
we must remind everyone that here they swap down at the canal turn, don't they, and then pick up on the Melling Road. So we've got 3 sets of commentators normally, and he did the whole thing in one. Unbelievable.
He did.
He didn't even pause, you know.
No pressure, Stuart. Don't go away, because when you rejoin us, you will be getting the chance to see legends racing again. Red Rum's back. Hedge Hunter's back. Last year's winner won for Arthur. Although he's not in the real Grand National this year, he is in the Race of Champions, which is coming up after the break. Richard Pitman, you're riding again.
Oh, my God.
Imagine that. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Virtual Grand National 2018, and I've come down to the chair. Only jumped once in the Grand National. It's officially 5'2", but I must have shrunk a bit because it looks an awful lot bigger than that. Frightening enough, you might think, but that's only the half of it, because just look at this. It's an 11-foot spread, taking into account this massive ditch in front, and the horses don't want to take off too soon, otherwise they'll end up in the middle of the ditch. So it's a supreme test of horsemanship and bravery, both of horse and rider. And every horse that's won the Grand National has jumped this fence. But have you ever wondered how some of the greats of old, the Red Rums, the Crisps, the Ragtrays, the Lescargos, great household names of the 60s and 70s, might take on some of the more recent heroes of this race, like last year's winner, Won for Arthur, for example? Well, now you get your chance to see exactly how they might come together in a gloriously reconstructed Race of Champions. Alistair Mann picks up the story.
It's one of the major debates for any racing fan. Who was the greatest Grand National horse to have taken on Aintree? 3-time victorious, twice a runner-up. For many, the answer would be Red Rum. But how would he have fared against last year's winner, Won for Arthur? Or maybe the fastest ever winner, the 1990 champion, Mr. Frisk? Well, technology may be able to assist us, as each year a selection of computer-generated versions of some of the sport's greats will be pitted against each other in the virtual Race of Champions.
You go back all those winners, all that history, so many great and dramatic Grand Nationals, and I'm sure everyone has an opinion who was the best. You know, Old Aniti in '81, you know, he was a top-class horse, fantastic story with Bob Champion. Many Clouds could well be the highest quality Grand National winner there's ever been, who knows? And that's what it's about, you know, it is the people's race, people have opinions on it. So to put all those champions together and have the challenge of trying to solve that puzzle is a quite amazing concept.
With almost 7,000 horses having taken on Aintree since the race was first run in 1839, the permutations are endless, and each year a different combination of 40 equine greats will be at the virtual starting line. The most successful jockeys of all time will be placed on board a different mount in an attempt to finally resolve this fascinating debate.
You've got different jockeys on different horses. Who knows what decisions they're going to make in the race? And of course the ground conditions. You know, is it going to be soft ground? It could be good fast ground. Who knows what the ground could be? So yeah, huge amount of different factors that can cause the result to be different every time. Trying to sort of assess periods in time and who was the best, I think is a massive challenge and something everybody's interested in.
With each result this annual challenge creates, so we'll move ever closer to knowing who really was the greatest steeplechaser of all time.
Well, that is how the Race of Champions was made, and very shortly, with the assistance of this man here, Stuart Machin, legendary commentator, we're going to see how it unfolds. It's an interesting exercise, Richard, because horses of 30, 40 years ago are very different in make and shape to the horses we're going to see in the Grand National tomorrow.
And so are jockeys too. The styles have changed dramatically in that time.
For the better?
Oh yes, oh, absolutely, yeah. Used to hunt round and then play jockeys. Now they're jockeys from the off.
The horses are faster, the jockeys are faster, the race is very different.
Are they really? Are they really that much faster? The times aren't that much faster. I think it's one of the interesting things is that over time, you know, we're still looking back at trying to beat records that Arkle set in the 60s. So It's interesting, styles have changed, the fences have changed, and perhaps the pace of the race has changed at different points, but the actual overall time, in fact, isn't that different. So I think it brings them together.
Well, with all that information loaded into our computer and all your expertise, we should be able to get an answer as to whether the great heroes of old can match up to the heroes of now. What do you think, Stuart?
Well, we've got some of the true heroes of Nationals gone by. We've got Red Rum, we've got Les Cargo, of course, beat him, Ragtrade, who beat him, the memorable 1981 winner Aldeniti, as also some of those memorable beaten horses from all those years ago. And bringing it right up to date, we've got last year's winner, One for Arthur, who was, of course, only the second ever Scottish trained winner of the race. So, in the course of the next few minutes, Nick, we should find out.
So, one of the great Aintree legends, Mr. Richard Pitman, I'm going to invite you to start the Race of Champions.
They're under orders and they're off.
So the 40 runners on their way down towards the Melling Road, and Ryman Reason under Brendan Powell towards the far side in the pink jacket. The 1988 winner is among the early leaders. Spanish Steps is right up there. Richard Pitman has got Chris towards the far side. The red sleeves in a handy position. One for Arthur with the white cap. Former Gold Cup winner The Thinker with the orange sleeves and cap as they approach the opening fence. Red Rum is settled towards midfield on the near side in the sheepskin noseband, and the Dickler is out of the race at the first. Everything else appears to have taken it safely. Silviniaco Conti towards the near side in the red jacket. West Tip, the 1986 winner, in the pale blue with the black armlets under Richard Dunwoody as they step out over fence number 2. They all appear to have cleared that safely, and now their first big test of the race. The big open ditch, number 3, coming up to them. In the centre, Don't Push It has moved up to join the leaders, but it was Spanish Steps towards the far side who touched down just in front from Crisp, and the grey Neptune Collonges is racing towards the far side. Don't Push It in the centre with the white cap. Well to do and the Thinker are not too far off the leaders. Silviniaco Conti towards the near side. Les Cargo has got a handy position as well. Silver Birch is towards the near side with the pale blue cap as they head down to the fence before Beechers. So Silver Birch on the near side comes to join the leading cluster. Mistake there from Little Polvere. Jimmy Frost was perched up round his neck as they move on now towards Beechers for the first time. Remember, Beechers comes up as fence 6 and also fence 22. So as they head into the wings of Beechers, Silver Birch, horse number 27, just about has the advantage. Jumping well on the outside once again, those Spanish Steps. We've got Fallers in behind at Beechers. Rough and Tumble has crashed out at Beechers, and the 1987 Gold Cup winner, The Thinker, is out of the race at first Beechers. No time to pause, however, because we're quickly on to the smallest fence on the course, the Foynehaven, and all those that remain have cleared it safely, with Silver Birch still in a prominent position. Many Clouds and Bala Briggs are just behind the leaders. Mr. Snugfit with a pink cap is tracking them. Little Polvere with the red sleeves, and then Spanish Steps, who's just drifted back towards midfield in behind Crisp as they go out over the canal turn, and T for 3 at the back of the field was the faller there at the canal turn. Meanwhile, Hallo Dandy, the 1984 winner, black jacket, is towards the rear of the field. Bob Champion has got Aldeniti towards mid-division at this stage, racing in company with the likes of Red Rum, who's got the sheepskin noseband, as they cross out over Valentine's fence 10 and move on swiftly towards another plain fence, the 11th. Silver Birch, Silviniaco Conti, Red Marauder going up to join the leaders. Amberley House not too far off them towards midfield. Little Polvere, Crisp and Spanish Steps on the far side are still prominent. Ryman Reason, who jumped off handily, is about 8th or 9th position. One for Arthur with the big white face is tracking Hedge Hunter, and then Neptune Collonges. Hallo Dandy continues towards the rear. Spanish Steps made a mistake out over that one. That was the 12th, and now they head back across the Melling Road, and the long run on towards fences 13 and 14, which will be the final 2 obstacles on the second circuit. Spanish Steps then on the outside has just about moved through to reclaim the advantage. Red Marauder is still there in the hands of Richard Guest, and then Mr. Snugfit with the pink cap and Silver Birch on the inside, and Bala Briggs and Many Clouds. Silviniaco Conti, Ragtrade towards the far side tracking them. Crisp is in about 7th or 8th position, just ahead of Ryman Reason, and then One for Arthur and Hedge Hunter and Amberley House and Corbiere and the grey Neptune Collonges. West Tip back on the inner, then comes Monbone from Black Appalachie. Aurora's encore towards midfield in a blue and yellow jacket, and then Comply or Die. And they draw into the wings of fence 13. 4, 5 abreast as they touch down over this plain fence. There was Red Rum going through the shot, and Grease Paint was a faller there. Grease Paint out of the race, the 2016 winner, Rule the World, well back in the field at this stage as they clear the 14th and now make their way towards one of the most fearsome obstacles on the course. The Mighty Chair jumped only once in the race. Silviniaco Conti on the far side. Near side Spanish Steps. Mr. Snugfit and Silver Birch up between them with Red Marauder and Little Polvere and Many Clouds Clouds, and then Bala Briggs, and One for Arthur is tracking the leaders. Amberley House and Ryman Rees and Chris towards the wide outside as they move on now towards the water jump. It takes them to the halfway point in the race of champions. The leaders stream out over it safely. There's now more than 30 lengths from first to last. Well to do, the 1972 winner is just about last. Hello Dandy is last but one. Rule the World has got only a couple behind as they head away towards the Melling Road and on towards fence 17. Spanish Steps just about has the lead from Silviniaco Conti, Silver Birch and Red Marauder. Mr. Snugfit with a pink cap towards the far side. Little Polvier and then Rag Trade being followed through by One for Arthur, Ryman Reason, Don't Push It, Many Clouds and Bala Briggs just in behind these. Red Rum has been hunting away quietly right around the inside. He still sits in midfield, and the Sheepskin Noseband tracking the likes of Crisp and Hedge Hunter, and now they rise at fence 17. Spanish Steps and Red Marauder will take it together, both jumping well, but Spanish Steps has crashed out on the far side, leaves Red Marauder 2 or 3 lengths clear to Little Polvier, who's now left in second as they move on towards the 18th. Then Mr. Snugfit, Silviniaco Conti and Rag Trade took it together just behind the leaders. One for Arthur towards the right with the white cap is being tracked there by Red Rum, who's now beginning to make some headway as they come to the big open ditch, the 19th once again. Red Marauder landed about 3 lengths clear from Little Polvier. Rag Trade has taken third. Going up between horses and making some headway towards them is number 6 Valverde as they move on towards fence 20. Red Marauder landing just ahead. Rag Trade though tracking them. Going up to between horses, Monty's Pass with the white sleeves and cap is now much closer to them, having been quietly ridden in midfield. Bala Briggs and Many Clouds and Little Polvier and Silviniaco Conti and Hedge Hunter as they stream out over the next fence 21. All the leaders get over it safely, and now they move on towards Beechers for the final time. Fence 22. Mr. Snugfit is out of the race. Little Polvier has been pulled up, and as they draw towards the 22nd, up on the outside, the leaders get over it safely. Leading 3 over okay. Many Clouds jumping well. Monty's Pass and Rag Trade in between horses. At the 22nd there, we lost Silver Birch, who unseated. The 2007 winner is out of the race. They come to Foythaven for the second time. Fence 23. And Rag Trade on the near side. Up between horses, Monty's Pass looking 4th place though. Red Rum is now making significant progress towards the lead as he moves up to track them as they come to the canal turn, this 90-degree bend for the final time. Rag Trade jumping well on the inside. Meanwhile, just behind the leaders, Red Marauder, Hedge Hunter with a green cap, Amberley House and One for Arthur. McCoy is moving, Don't Push It, a little bit closer to them. Crisp is still running a mighty race. An error there from Neptune Calange, who was out jumped by Corbière. Hello Dandy is still well back with Well to Do as they move on now towards Valentine's and on to the 26th. Over it, Red Marauder going back up to join the leading line. Look at Chris getting his second wind on the far side under Richard Pittman, coming back up to join them. And here on the near side, his old foe Red Rum is getting right into the race. Many Clouds and Bala Briggs behind them. Hedge Hunter the green cap, and then Don't Push It, a mistake there from last year's winner One for Arthur. He was out jumped by the 2004 winner Amberley House, who's down on the inside with the striped sleeves. They're heading back towards the Melling Road now with just a couple of fences left to jump in the race of champions, and it's the mighty Red Rum who's moved through to lead with still more than half a mile to travel. Crisp is on his outside, then Many Clouds and Bala Briggs and Red Marauder and Hedge Hunter and Amberley House. These are being followed towards the inside by One for Arthur, and then Don't Push It. Monty's Pass now beginning to lose ground, and then Black Appalachie and Corbière, who's never really threatened to get involved. Silviniaco Conti is back in midfield from Neptune Calange and Aurora's Encore, and they're heading back towards the grandstands with 2 left to jump, and it's the rematch. The race is on. Red Rum, except he's in front this time. Crisp, ridden with more patience, drawing upsides to challenge. They've broken 3, 4 lengths clear of the pursuers. Hedge Hunter with a green cap is making stealthy progress. Less Cargo with the hoops is beginning to make ground. Red Rum was in front at the second last, but he's still being very strongly pressed by Crisp. Less Cargo is getting to them on the inside, and then Hedge Hunter. They're heading towards the 30th and final fence in the race of champions. Red Rum and Crisp. Hedge Hunter goes up between horses. Less Cargo is still closing them down. Then Many Clouds and Bala Briggs and West Tip and Aldeniti as they race towards the elbow in the race of champions. Red Rum has got a fight on now. He's been challenged on all sides. Crisp, Less Cargo with the hoops is making his effort between them. Then Many Clouds and Hedge Hunter. West Tip towards the outside. Don't Push It and One for Arthur. They pass the elbow with still a furlong left to go. And it's Less Cargo, his old rival Red Rum, rallying gaily on the far side. Less Cargo and Red Rum as they race close home. Less Cargo on the near side, Red Rum on the far side, and Lescargo beats Red Rum again to win the Race of Champions. Hedge Hunter was third. Chris Branagh Gallant Race to finish fourth. Then West Tip and Don't Push It and Many Clouds, followed home by Ballabriggs and Old and 80. Amberley House got round. One for Arthur, last year's winner, got round as well. And going back to the stragglers, the likes of Bindari, Seabass, Who Never Threatened, Spartan Missile, and Well To Do, the last of 27 to complete in the Race of Champions.
A suspension of reality, and for a minute there, you were in 1975, and Lescargo beat Red Rum as he did that year. Red Rum gallant in defeat again.
Quite amazing, although basically Red Rum was a better Grand National horse than Lescargo. Lescargo was a leery old thing. He won 2 Gold Cups, and yet he was ungenuine, and here he wins the National.
But everyone remembers Red Rum for winning 3 Grand Nationals, but the fact that he ran in 5 and finished second in 2 of them is almost as incredible as winning 3.
Well, it's extraordinary, isn't it? Longevity in National Hunt racing is what makes us love these horses, because we see them time and time again, and we know their foibles, and we know, like you say, Lescargo was brilliant, and we talk about them like they're our friends, because they come back for 5 years to this great place and put their heart on the line for us, and that's why we love them.
4.5 miles, 5 furlongs, real or virtual, Red Rum was a true legend of the sport. But in this year's Race of Champions, it was one of his rare defeats, second on this occasion, to Lescargo. Now, where is your money going this year? There is one final piece of the jigsaw that you need to put into place, because the virtual Grand National, which got 6 out of the first 10 last year, is coming your way right after this. So Aintree Racecourse is looking magnificent ahead of the 171st running of the world's most famous steeplechase, the Grand National. How did the virtual Grand National get on last year? Well, in the virtual race, there were 19 finishers. There were 20 in the actual race, so pretty good there. The virtual Grand National predicted 6 of the top 10 finishers, even better, and we got devilishly close to a victory, because Cause of Causes, who won the virtual race, went on to finish second in the actual race a day later. Now, to assist our computers, we've also assembled a panel of world-recognised experts in the sport of National Hunt racing, but they are only there to help. In the final analysis, the computer makes up his or her own mind.
The first of the 3 amigos on my right is none other than Bob Champion, who defied cancer to win the Grand National in 1981. And next to him, a younger version of the jockey type, and that's Liam Treadwell. He rode Monmouth to win in 2009. And to complement the panel here, we've got Lydia Hislop, who is an acclaimed racing broadcaster and journalist. Well, Lydia, class seems to out. It's quite a big thing to be a Gold Cup contender. And Minella Rocco ran very well, but on fast-ish ground.
I mean, my view of Minella Rocco is that he is a high-class klutz, basically, and it's going to go one way or the other with him. You know, if he jumps around, because the jumping can sometimes be an issue for him, then he could definitely be involved, because he's unexposed, as I say, and he is very classy, but that is an if.
Sometimes, though, you know, Liam, a horse that we call quirky can come alive to the challenges of Aintree.
For instance, the David Pipe horse, Feuillon Rouge. You know, he saves his best of here, and he's been disappointing this season.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise if he turns up this year. He's a year stronger.
Well, I'm going for another big price.
Okay, Champy.
Lord Windermere.
No.
You wait and see.
If that's...
You wait and see.
If
A
that's...
Gold Cup winner, down on 10 stone 6. If he's bright, he might just come here and brighten up.
I'm just going to throw one in, a bit left field. Venetia's horse, down the bottom, Houblon des Obeaux. As much as he finished 10th in the race last year, and Monmouth actually finished 10th the year before he won.
Right. Tiger Roll is one that I think is coming here well, and from a win at Cheltenham.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's won the Triumph Hurdle, the National Hunt Chase over 4 miles, and last time we saw him, he won the cross country. He is a remarkable little horse, but he is a bit little.
The Last Samurai, that likes it
Got
round
to
here,
mention
but
it, haven't we?
I think he's had his days.
he might. He's only 10 years old, but
he's a star of the horse.
Yeah, but
yeah,
He is. He's lovely, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's run some really good races.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
he runs good races, and he just could be his day.
How about Black Lion?
Can't really see him getting home. He didn't last year, and he's a year older. He stopped very quick for me.
I slightly disagree. I think they'd have learnt an awful lot from last year. The horse is uncomplicated, he jumps very well.
Yeah, I'm with Liam on this one. I think he might see it out a little bit better with a slight tweak on the tactics and also a year older.
But Liam, just a word of advice, don't apologise for disagreeing. Say, look, you two old
Yes,
you two old jockeys at the end, you don't, things have moved on from your day. What about Gasline Boy? Anyone got any thoughts?
To me, he's got a great each-way chance, and trained by Ian Williams, who does a terrific, very good trainer. I think he's the only trainer that's actually trained a winner of flat-hand jumping on every course in this country.
I can see him running a really solid race. I don't fancy him to win. I suspect he'll complete, and he might even be able to nick a place.
I agree with Lydia. I could see him, nicking a place.
So all in all, we think, do we, that it is a fascinating national again?
Well, it's always going to be a fascinating race, and there's 40 horses out there. One of 40 will win, and hopefully they'll all come back safe.
That is a very sensible thing to have said. One of the 40 will win.
Well, I'm right, aren't I?
Let's hope so.
Runners and riders include quite a few debutantes over the Aintree course. Valser Lido, one of those, as is Annabelle Fly. Sam Twiston Davis in the saddle for Father Nigel on last year's 4th-placed Black Lion. 17-year-old James Bowen makes his national debut on Chantou Flyer, while Tiger Roll is highly fancied despite his diminutive size. Chase the Spud, another first-time runner for Fergal O'Brien, with St R 3rd in 2017, racing for the 8th time over the national fences. While North Yorkshire national winner I Just Know, trained by 2013 winner Sue Smith, is yet another debutante. Katie Walsh will be in the saddle for Ross O'Sullivan on Bayer des Îles, while look out for Bryony Frost on Milan's Bar, 2nd place finisher in last month's Midlands Grand National.
So that's the full field, 40 horses, 40 intrepid riders, 3 female riders with an excellent chance this year as well, but can they win it?
Yeah, of course they can. I've got 14 to 1 about a girl winning, and I think this is the year. This is the year. We've banged on about it for so long, but we've got 3 class riders with real, genuine chances from big stables. They've been given the chance, they're good enough to take them, and I think all 3 could go well.
Keep your eye on those. Rachel Blackmore from Ireland rides Alpha des Obo, Katie Walsh on the almost white grey mare Baie des Îles, and Bryony Frost, one of the sensations of the season, riding Milan's Bar. Richard, what do you think?
I agree, they've a big chance, better than we've had for years. And what I really want to watch is Bryony Frost over these fences. Her position on a horse and her communication with the horse is outstanding. I can see Bryony on the inside where the brave people go, up there, jump, jump, jump. Katie Walsh will be waiting on the grey mare, longer, I think. That goes in the ground. It's had a nice introduction for this. And Rachel Blackmore, she was late into racing. She's had plenty of collarbones, broken both her wrists, but that's all forgotten. Let me get to the start.
40 horses will get to the start for the Grand National, and this, as I said a few moments ago, is the final piece in the jigsaw, the virtual Grand National. Stuart will be back to call it right after this. Now for the moment of truth. Well, you know what I mean. Now for the virtual Grand National 2018. Stuart is ready, and the winner is Richard Pittman.
Annabelle Fly.
Alice?
Katie Walsh.
And Baie des Îles. And for me, I Just Know at a big price. I wonder if this great piece of software and animation just knows the results. Alice, I'm going to ask you to kick Stuart off.
OK. Stuart, good luck.
And so away they jump then, the 40 runners for the 2018 Virtual Grand National, and Baie des Îles, the grey, is handy, the mare, as they move towards the Melling Road and on towards the first of their 30 fences. See You at Midnight, prominent down towards the near side, with pleasant company with the yellow sleeves, as they now prepare to rise at the opening fence. Bless the Wind and the pale colours going up to join the leaders, with Gasline Boy and the former Gold Cup winner Lord Windermere with the yellow cap tracks them. Leaders take the first safely, and they are all safely over the first fence. So heading on down towards the second, right over on the far side, Black Lion moves up to join the leading line and probably touches down just ahead there. Chase the Spud in the Royal Blue is with them. There was a mistake by Vicenti back in midfield, and now their first big test, this big open ditch, the third coming up to them. They're 6-7 abreast as they take off and land. Virgilio going up in the centre to join the leaders. Houblon des Obos not too far off them, and once again all at 30 ahead down towards the next. Leaders over safely, up amongst them, Alpha de Zobo, the first of the Jigginstown runners with a blue cap. Houblon de Zobo with the red jacket in the centre. Towards the near side, Regal Encore and Lord Windermere tracking the leaders with Annabelle Fly, Vicenti edging a little bit closer, Beta Zeal the grey on the far side, and then Black Lion as they move on now towards Beechers for the first time. And up ahead, the McManus contingent, prominent. Remember, J.P. McManus got 5 runners in the race. Annabelle Fly carries the first colours, the white cap, as they go streaming out over Beechers, and the whole field remarkably has cleared Beechers for the first time. Lord Windermere is tracking the leaders as they now head to the smallest fence on the course, the Foynaven, number 7. Final nudges out of the race at the 7th and St. Arr, made quite a bad mistake on the inside, but he stays in the race. He's tracking Ras de Marais, who's in the raw blue. Total Recall and Vieux Lion Rouge are in midfield with Double Ross as they come now to the Canal Turn for the first time. Leaders over safely, but Maggio is out of the race at the rear of the field. Maggio has gone at the Canal Turn, and Carlingford Lock has gone at the Canal Turn as well. 2 out of the race at the 8th. They're already over Valentine's the 9th. The Last Samurai is last at this stage. The Dutchman, meanwhile, is towards midfield. Uccello Conti is towards the rear of the field as they stream out over the next. Lord Windermere, Virgilio towards the near side with Bless the Wings. Anibar Fly and Regal Encore. The Grey Beta Zeal, Houblon de Zobo. Alpha de Zobo with the blue cap, and then Black Lion, Beeves on the far side in the dark blue and yellow as they stream out over that ditch, and then Gasline Boy in the purple who's in midfield with Ras de Marais, Vicenti on the inner and Chase the Spud, and Vieux Lion Rouge also towards midfield. Warrior's Tail is around about 3/4 of the way back at this stage. Pendra likewise as they head back towards the Melling Road, and now they make the long run to the next pair of fences, which in a circuit's time, of course, will be the final 2. So Lord Windermere, the former Gold Cup winner, towards the inside in the purple and yellow jacket, just about has the advantage to Alpha de Zobo. Annibal Fly with a white cap between them. Virgilio on the far side being tracked there by Bless the Wings. And then Pendra, who's just behind the leaders. Also just in behind the leaders with a dark cap, Minella Rocco. Beeves on the near side with Black Line and a red jacket, and then Double Ross and the Grey Beta Zeal. Vicenti and Gasline Boy and Ras de Marais and Vieux Lion Rouge and Chase the Spud and Total Recall. Valsalido is in midfield as they take fence 13. Alpha de Zobo in a leading line of 3. Watching the stragglers go over it. See You at Midnight, who jumped off handily, has dropped towards the rear. Ten and Ivernay is towards the rear as well as they take this next plain fence. And again, all those that remain have taken it safely. And now they head on down to one of the most formidable fences on the track. The Mighty Chair, of course, taken only once in the race. Alpha de Zobo, Houblon de Zobo on the extreme left as they rise at the chair. Leaders take it safely. The rest stream out over it as well, and all those still in the race have cleared the chair, and now they come to the water jump for the only time in the virtual national. 4 in a line as they touch down over the chair. Bless the Wings towards the inside in the pale colours. Annibal Flies right there with a white cap, and then Pendra and Alpha de Zobo and Houblon de Zobo. Gasline Boy in a purple jacket. Lord Windermere and Virgilio, and then Bees and Black Lion and Ras de Marais and Total Recall in the red and white. Vicenti right down on the inner is edging a little bit closer as they head back towards the Melling Road, and on the long run now towards fence 17 as they pass through the halfway point of the virtual national of 2018. There are still incredibly 37 horses still going. They come on towards this plain fence. Pendra in the centre, Alpha de Zobo, Annibal Fly, Gasline Boy, Bless the Wings, Ras de Marais, Houblon de Zobo towards the far side. Bees, then the Grey Beta Zeal and Minella Rocco and Black Lion as they stream out over the 17th. Vieux Lion Rouge is edging a little bit closer, and then Perfect Candidate who's towards midfield, coming on quickly to the 18th. And on the near side, number 20, Gasline Boy has taken a narrow advantage, jumps it well. Watching the rest get over it safely. They now head on towards the open ditch, the big open ditch for the second time, fence 19. The field just beginning to thin themselves out a little now. See You at Midnight is towards the rear of the field. Pendra has gone out of the race. Bywise is now beginning to struggle. They've got 2 more to take before they get to Beechers for the second time. And it's Gasline Boy in the centre, lifting off just ahead of Annibal Fly, Alpha de Zobo on the far side, Beeves, Houblon de Zobo and Black Lion, Ras de Marais in the raw blue, Vieux Lion Rouge. Total Recall on the near side is much closer, being tracked by Vicenti, and then Lord Windermere and Beta Zeal. Minella Rocco and perfect candidate as they step out over that one. Bywise is out of the race, and Lord Windermere has been pulled up quickly, and now they head towards Beeches for the second time. Fence 22 on the far side. Chase the Spud has moved up to join the leaders. Annibal Fly with the white cap is still there. Alfred Azobo, Yearly en Rouge, Gasline Boy, Rastabaray, Black Line. Leaders go streaming out over Beeches. In behind them, Virgilio, however, was a faller at Beeches. Virgilio is out of the race. Perfect Candidate is still tracking them in midfield as they take the 23rd, the Foynehaven fence, and up amongst the leaders. In the centre, Annibal Fly. Yearly en Rouge has joined him on the near side. Chase the Spud towards the far side. Then Gasline Boy and Black Line with a white cap and Rastabaray in a raw blue jacket. Total Recall as they go out over the canal turn. The leaders have cleared it with covering about 10 or 12 lengths, watching the stragglers go out over it safely. Children's List, however, is beginning to struggle. Vicente now has just lost a position or two on the inside. One or two making bad mistakes there. Regal Encore hit that quite hard. See You at Midnight and the Dutchman are well back, and now they're heading inside the final mile. Black Line in the centre in the red jacket. Bees in the dark blue and yellow. Annibal Fly just in behind the leaders there. A faller. Vicente has gone out of the race when he still had a chance. Bader Zeal, the greys, back in midfield and has lost plenty of ground. And now here is where stamina really kicks in. Black Line, Annibal Fly on the near side made a mistake, but he's still among the leaders. Beeves is running a huge race. Then Yearly en Rouge and Chase the Spud and Rastabaray as they head back across the Melling Road. The long run now after 3 out towards the final 2 fences before the grandstand. Black Lion in front, as he was in the National 12 months ago. Bees is just second. Annibal Flies in third. Chase the Spud, the blue jacket, fourth. Yearly en Rouge is 5. The New Blonde Azobo and Gasline Boy in Total Recall. The Last Samurai making a bit of ground, being followed by Rastabaray. Then Valsalido, who's back in midfield. Also back in midfield, Regal Encore. They're heading now towards the last half mile in the National. Up ahead, Yearly en Rouge. Beeves, then the Black Line now back into third. Chase the Spud in the raw blue on the near side of Annibal Fly, followed by Oublon de Zobo, and then Total Recall, in turn followed by Gasline Boy. Behind Gasline Boy is Valsalido as they come to the second last in the Virtual National. Still many chances there, but Beeves is a faller when still very much in the thick of the action. Beeves has crashed out, heading towards the final fence. Chase the Spud jumps into a narrow lead from Oublon de Zobo. Total Recall being delivered. Annibal Fly with a white cap still has a chance. Tiger Roll is beginning to make a lot of ground on the near side with a white cap, maroon jacket coming from miles back. They're heading towards the elbow in the Virtual National. Total Recall, Chase the Spud, Tiger Roll slowly but inexorably is getting there on the near side. Oublon de Zobo is back in fourth, and then Yearly en Rouge. Tiger Roll on the near side of Chase the Spud. There's little to separate them as they race to the shadows of the post, and it's Tiger Roll who flexes his claws and wins a second Virtual National for Gordon Elliott. Chase the Spud went down fighting in second. Total Recall was third, then Oublon de Zobo, Yearly en Rouge, Black Lion, Annibal Fly, Rastabaray, Bader Zeal finished back in about 9th or 10th position. I Just Know got round, Valsalido got round, and they trail right back to Tenor Nivernais and Uccello Conti. Remarkably, 30 horses completed in the 2018 Virtual Grand National.
Well, what a thriller for the Virtual Grand National. That is 2 Virtual Grand Nationals out of 2 for trainer Gordon Elliott. Tiger Roll, he's only tiny.
He's pint size, isn't he? And Davy Russell, he'll be pleased to see that because he's got a desperate record in the race till he won it just then.
There will be a few sets of connections watching this, hoping that this can be played out in reality. Certainly Fergal O'Brien chased the Spud. He ran a stormer.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, Cause of Causes ran so well from our animated last year. Could it be again?
Exactly. So 2 Virtual Grand Nationals out of 2 for trainer Gordon Elliott. Cause of Causes last year, Tiger Roll this year. What about other surprise packages in the race? Beeves.
Beeves was
100 to
running
1
for Jenny
shot.
Cavendish was running a blinder when it fell. I mean, if that comes off and it stays standing, that would be a massive result, wouldn't it, for Jenny?
And all those horses that were in amongst it last year.
Gasline Boy, an old friend of the race.
Yearly en Rouge
was up there.
Black Lion was up there till fairly late.
Super run, Black Lion. Again, didn't quite get home. And Annibal Fly didn't get home. Good run, but didn't last that trip. That extra little bit,
And soft ground. Soft ground. I don't know. Does the virtual race take into account soft
Absolutely.
ground? Oh, sorry.
Absolutely. The virtual race takes in everything, Alice. You should know that by now.
Of course it does. Then soft ground definitely came into play with the virtual race, I think. And you saw that stamina is going to come into play.
And if the real thing is as good as that, well, hats are in the air.
The real thing will be every bit as good as that. So that's it. Richard, thank you very much once again for being our Aintree legend. Hope you've enjoyed it. Alice, thank you as well.
Nick.
Alice will be part of ITV's broadcast team 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon for all live coverage of the Randox Health Grand National. Let's hope it's half as exciting as the virtual Grand National, won for the 2nd consecutive year by the Irish trainer Gordon Elliott. The pint-sized Tiger Roll packed a punch with us today. Can he do so when it really matters? See you next time. Bye-bye.